Zazen, sitting, this moment, exactly this moment. Anything further, anything that I say further, is extra. And yet, extra is needed at times. Zazen is experiencing. Experiencing is Zazen. It's being this moment, hearing, seeing, cognizing. Cognizing is emotion, thought, smelling, so forth. It's the functioning of being human. And it is only when we make something of it, make something of the experiencing and get caught up in it. Or as the Buddha says, the therefores, and hold on to them, which is getting caught up in it, saying I, she, he, and spin off into that about them, then we make difficulties for ourselves and others. If we say it simply, it's that Zazen is not about us. It's not about you, and it's not about anyone else. And it is exactly this experiencing that we might call me, or that you might call yourself. One thing we often forget is that in our life, in our experiencing from morning to night, we only meet the Buddha life, which is our life. There are aspects to this experiencing, the functioning of being human, such as the 5 skandhas that just recited in the Heart Sutra, ear, seeing, hearing, smelling, emotion, thought, which is what the Buddha refers to as cognizing. This is all the natural functioning of being human and the opportunity we have with life to be this. And the Buddha then points out our problematic habit, which we humans often have, of making something of the arising experiencing, the arising passing thoughts. And that's again the therefore, thereby, therein that we spin off into, which results in us missing this very life moment and instead entangling in what Buddha refers to as dukkha, suffering, unsatisfactoriness, which we can generalize as either being greed, anger, and various delusions. Delusions are stories, stories about what could have, should have, he is, she isn't, I am, I'm not, etc. It's making something of it that's inappropriate at the moment. Whether it's inside or outside. It's what we do with that that gets us in trouble. It's what we say, this is me, this is not me, this should be me, this shouldn't be me, this is physical, this is mental, dead, alive, sentient, not sentient. We make all sorts of stories. Stories are fine, except if we entangle in them and if they become what we blame ourselves or others about. And that's what the precepts are about, helping us to notice so that we don't make trouble, we don't miss our wondrous self nature, which is our life is inconceivable. Any of our stories about it are really taking a little piece of it and missing the very experiencing that is always available, that is always exactly who we are, and instead adding some sort of dualistic story. There's all sorts of words that we use, that we meaning in the practice tradition, in the Buddhist tradition, in the tradition of relieving suffering, all sorts of phrases we use that sometimes can be skillful. But even those, we can get in trouble if we hold on to them. If we have stories about me and not me, sentient beings and not sentient beings, deluded beings and Buddhas, if we believe those stories and we act out on them, that's important for us to notice, because that makes trouble if we don't notice it, if that runs us. If we have even stories of this is sacred, this is not sacred, this is Buddha, this is not Buddha, all of those are ways of, if I use the expression, reviling who we are in this life, in technical terms, called the life of the three treasures, reviling the three treasures when we do that. As some of you know, we're having a session at the end of this month, and one of the aspects of session that I give a talk every day, and at this point I'm planning on exploring one of the chapters of Shobogenzo by Dogen called Busho, which is Buddha nature. And I thought that I would just bring up a phrase from the end of that, where Dogen Zenji, Dogen is a 13th century Zen master who lived in Japan and was very prolific, wrote some wonderful work, as well as poetry, etc. And some of his work is difficult but very valuable in supporting us in being this sitting practice, this sitting which is not just limited to sitting, but is available to us throughout our life, throughout our day. And at the end of this long chapter, pieces of which I will bring up and explore, this chapter on Busho, Buddha mind, Buddha nature, which Dogen explores the ways many people in the Zen and Buddhist tradition have worked with this and articulated this, and helps us to more intimately appreciate it for ourselves, because that's really what sitting and experiencing and life is. It's our opportunity to live this life of the universe that we are. But at the same time, Dogen wants to dissuade us from misconstruing this, getting trapped by these words. So at the very end of this long chapter, which is worthy of study, but also difficult, he says, and this is one translation, there's other translations of this very, from beginningless past, Dogen says, many foolish people identified consciousness and spirituality as the Buddha nature. How laughable it is that they are called enlightened people. If I were to explain the Buddha nature without getting too involved, I would say that it is fences, walls, roof tiles, and pebbles. Isn't that nice? When we say something beyond this, what is Buddha nature? Is everything clear? That's a quote from Dogen from the end. From morning to night, I'll add on, you only encounter and live Buddha nature. It's up to us to manifest this and take good care of it. Thank you.